Knicks family, what's popping? It's your boy. I got my brother Tony Crow here. We got some other people that's going to be popping in soon enough. We're going to go ahead and get this thing live. And, it's NBA trade day. Or at least they started having the ability to trade today or to finalize trade agreements today. So far, it's only really been one big trade that's happened, but it does impact the New York Knicks, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and anything else that might go down. We got the draft in 2 days. Let's go ahead and get this thing popping, man. Tony Crow, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
I'm good. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black this time.
Yo, man.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot more movement, man.
Well, I mean, the thing is this. Today just opened up the ability for the Knicks to make, or for any team, not just the Knicks, for any team in the NBA to make trades. It just opened up, the ability. Doesn't mean that they had to make trades today. You know what I'm saying? So I do expect that there's going to be more moves. We're going to see more moves at some point. Obviously, the biggest move today is CP3 to the Phoenix Suns. Right? That's the biggest move today. Tell me what you think about that trade. CP3 to the Phoenix Suns, and how does it impact the New York Knicks? Obviously, we know how it impacts the Knicks. He's not coming to the New York Knicks. Right? But it probably impacts him in other ways. But go ahead. Somebody start it off for me.
Yo, I'm gonna make it easy. The Suns got that much better that the Dallas Mavericks are gonna be lower than them. So that's next year's plus for us.
I mean, the Suns definitely got better, right? So now you got a point guard that can get the ball out of Devin Booker's hands and let him play off the ball. I mean, you already had that with Ricky Rubio, but a better point guard, right? A better, smarter point guard who could score the basketball, great basketball IQ, has the fire and the desire behind them. And he's in Phoenix, a place where, a lot of older vets, they go to Phoenix and they get some new life because of the weather and all that kind of stuff. There's a little bit of zen going on in Arizona that helps some of these older players rejuvenate their careers. You know what I mean? So it takes them off the table for the New York Knicks, though. It's no longer on the table for the New York Knicks. Some people might be disappointed. Some people may be like, okay, that's cool, whatever. But it has implications for the New York Knicks regardless, not just because he won't be a New York Knick, but if the Knicks plan on making a trade for point guard, because I truly believe that the Knicks are not looking to the draft for their point guard for the season. It's either through trade or free agency. Right? So right now you got a couple of options off the table. Dennis Schroeder's off the table. It's on his way to the Los Angeles Lakers. Chris Paul off the table. He's on his way to OKC. You guys talk to me about who's left.
Don't even put Fred VanVleet.
We're talking. We'll just talk trades first. Let's talk trades first.
Okay.
Who's left on the trade market? Are there any point guards left on the trade market besides Russell Westbrook? You got Russell Westbrook. You know that. You know he's there, and you know the Knicks are interested, and you know the Knicks are talking. I don't care what no one says. You know the Knicks are interested, and they're talking.
Sam, if that was to happen, it would have done happen. The Knicks aren't giving up their assets for him. They want him on the low. If they can't get him on the low, sayonara Westbrook. I think if they wanted Westbrook, we'd have had him already. Just like how Suns got.
Wait a minute. But see, just because it hasn't happened already doesn't mean that they don't want him. And it doesn't mean that they're not talking or and negotiating. Remember, there's also this whole thing with James Harden that makes it where, okay, there's this thing with James Harden. So if Houston is also going to move James Harden, they're also going to move Russell Westbrook. What's that mean for Houston? That means that now they are breaking down their roster. They are rebuilding. They are restarting. Right? So that means there's a lot of moving parts. And so they may be looking to move a lot of different contracts, which means there could be 3-team trades going on, discussions of 3-team trades and all that kind of stuff. Right? So I'm not going to say if it was going to happen, it would have happened, because there could be a lot of parts moving.
Well, guess what? I don't think the Knicks are going to do it, because guess what? We don't have to. And if Houston's asking for something out of pocket, I'm glad they're not even looking that way, because I think that's what they're going to do. If they're looking to break up that team, they're looking for assets. And most likely they'll be asking, and the Knicks don't want to give up. So in that case, if you're trying to stronghold us, it ain't happening. I'm glad it ain't.
But I'm just saying, you don't know what is happening. you don't know what's happening, because they could also be looking for cap space.
So let me ask you a question. What other team do you see Russell Westbrook going to? What other team will welcome in that 3-year contract?
Before you go that far, Mark, you might consider that the Knicks may be asking for too much from Phoenix, and Phoenix may not be wanting to give up. Houston may not be wanting to give up a lot. Like for instance, the Knicks may be wanting Westbrook and Robert Covington in the deal, right? Because it solves 2 position needs for the Knicks, like a 3-and-D wing, a small forward. Because last year, Mo Harkless was the small forward, and if you don't think Robert Covington is an upgrade, then you're both.
They're not asking for Robert Covington. Let's stop.
What? So you don't think that teams are interested in Robert Covington?
Why would I bring on an extra $50 plus million if they're a team looking to get rid of Russell?
3-and-D player. He's an elite 3-and-D wing. You can solve your point guard issue for 3 years, and you can bring on an elite 3-and-D wing from a team that's looking to rebuild. So we can give them rebuild pieces. An elite 3-and-D wing at age 30 is not as valuable to a rebuilding team as, say, draft picks or young players.
So Houston's in a desperate situation, right? Because they could either keep Russell Westbrook, James Harden will be traded.
Right.
Right? Trade first. They get what they get back. And then they come to the Knicks and say, blah, blah, blah. The Knicks say no. We don't have to trade for Russell Westbrook. That is the greatest thing about what the place the Knicks say right now. So whatever Houston want to do is either they want to keep that contract, knowing I know they don't want to because of that money and what has been lost from the owner. And if you got rid of James Harden, what's the point of keeping Russell Westbrook? So in that case, if they're trying to stronghold the Knicks, and the Knicks say, no, give me Russell Westbrook just because you want to get rid of that contract, that's the thing. They want to get rid of that contract. And we're the perfect team to absorb it. So that's more than enough. That's more than enough.
So Mark, I understand everything that you're saying. What I'm saying to you is, like you're right. Okay? The Knicks, don't want to be they don't want to be fleeced. What I'm saying is, still there could be conversations going on. Right? Just because hold up. Just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means that it hasn't happened yet. It could happen. Right? It could happen. But who else, if not Russell Westbrook, which I do believe that the Knicks are probably talking with Houston and in discussions with,
of course. But not for what?
Okay, all right. Relax. And in discussion with Houston, about Russell Westbrook and the way that things are laid out with the Houston Rockets right now and what James Harden wants to do, Houston is probably looking at, we're going to restart. We're going to rebuild. What do we need to rebuild? So what do they need to rebuild? They need cap space.
Players.
They need
picks.
They need cap space. They need picks. If they're going to bring back players, they need players on short contracts. The Knicks have all of that. Okay? The Knicks have all of that. Andy, Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say about the point guards you asked that are still on the market.
Mhm.
For one, the Pelicans are shopping Drew Holiday, but from what the rumors are that they're getting plenty of offers and they are just picking the best offer for them.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. On the other scenario side, I think Ricky Rubio went to the OKC Thunder in that deal, but I'm pretty sure that they are waiting with that deal to get it done on Sunday, because that's going to be available. Some cap implications are available, from Sunday on, right? So I'm thinking they're going to, make the deal official on Sunday. Until that point, I think they can find another team to get Ricky Rubio off their hands. So I think Ricky Rubio might be available as well. Not to mention free agents like Rajon Rondo, because he's not going to be coming back to the Lakers since they got Dennis Schroeder.
And he going to the Clippers, bro.
Yeah, and we were talking about it that he might jump ship, and just go to the Clippers. And of course, and the rest is like tier, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 even, like those DJ Augustines and stuff like that. So no, I'm not going to mention even Fred VanVleet, because he's probably just waiting for the biggest offer as the money goes. And he was actually saying this on the JG Redick podcast, that he got a chip, he wants to run a team, and he's not going to lie, he's 26 years old and he's going to bag the money, right?
Yep.
So I'm guessing so I'm guessing he really is going to go for the money. And I hope the Knicks won't give him the money, though he is losing leverage with the CP3 deal. He's losing leverage. Every trade that happens is worse for him. So, maybe if he's going to wait till I don't know, Sunday and later on, he's going to be getting around, 20, even less than 20. But, I don't see that happening. I see some teams throwing the bag at him as well. So,
yeah. Here's the thing with the Knicks. If the Knicks are going to make a move make a trade, it probably needs to happen by 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, because of the expiring contracts, right?
Because of those contracts, because of the Elfrid Paytons and Taj Gibson and those guys, because of their contracts, the Knicks have to make a decision on those guys. Elfrid Payton, Bobby Portis, right? Taj Gibson. Who else is in there? Whoever else is in there, Reggie Bullock, right? The Knicks have to make a decision on whether or not they're going to keep these guys or they're going to waive them, right? If they're going to keep them, then their contracts become fully guaranteed. Wayne Ellington, that's another guy. I forgot Wayne Ellington. They're going to keep them, those contracts become fully guaranteed. If they're going to waive them, then they only have to pay them $1 million for 2020, 2021, and then they're off the books. Any team that they trade them to, that contract goes with them. Okay? So, they're all trade chips. The Knicks, if they're going to make a move, they're probably going to use one or two of those guys in a trade to help a team like the Rockets or whoever else shed some salary. That means that they've got to make a move. They don't have to, but it's more than likely that if they make a move, it's going to be done by 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Well,
right?
they can do it up until Thursday, right?
No, I believe tomorrow is. Wait a minute. When does? Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. Not tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thursday, up until the 19th. My bad.
Yeah, so we can.
I think
more deals are going to happen on the draft night.
Right. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Let me correct myself. They have until 3 p.m. on the 19th. So if they're going to make a deal, it's going to be till 3 p.m. on the 19th, not tomorrow, the 19th. So I just want to correct myself there. All right. So they have some time. They have 1, 2, 3 days. So just because it didn't happen today doesn't mean that, something's not going to happen, especially if the Rockets are breaking down their roster. That means a lot of moves could take place.
And the Rockets have, pieces that the rest of the league might want. Those PJ Tuckers, Robert Covingtons, Eric Gordons. Those are players that are going to be needed on championship contender teams.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, if the Knicks are going to make a move, expect it before 3 p.m. on Thursday, because that's when contracts like the Alfred Paytons, the Bobby Portises, Wayne Ellingtons, the Knicks got to decide whether or not they are going to, whether or not they're going to keep them or waive them, or another team if they're going to keep them or if they're going to waive them. Right?
So what's our best interest right now with that? Should we make a deal before this draft, or should we just wait and do it after?
On draft day. On draft day, I think is the best time to do it, because then we can see what we can be able to work out with the teams that are trying to move down or whether we want to move down. So I would say on draft day would probably be the best day.
And yes, I agree. I agree with that on draft day, because teams kind of start to get themselves into a pinch.
Right.
When it's on draft day, right? They get themselves into a little bit of a pinch where they are kind of, it's a high pressure moment. And when it's a high pressure moment, your adrenaline is pumping, you think a little bit less. Now you're supposed to have a group of people in there in the war room, but sometimes it happens with the entire group. On draft day is probably the best time to make a deal.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, and I agree with you guys, but the most important thing about those deals on draft nights, that if a team selects a dude and then trades him, they can trade the next year's pick because they made the selection.
Right.
So that's important because you can't trade picks in consecutive years. So if we do it before the draft, the team that would be trading the draft pick has to, they're blocked. They can't trade the pick from the next year, right? So that's pretty much important. That's why the Lakers can't finalize the deal for Schroeder, because they're sending the 28th pick to OKC. So they're gonna pick. They're gonna make the pick for for the OKC Thunder. So the guy's gonna wear probably the hat, and then he's gonna go off and change the hat. That's basic logic for that.
I was thinking a little bit differently. In the case of the Knicks, I think we need to do a trade before the draft, establish a direction, go into the draft with a clear mindset on who you want to pick with the spots that are available. Say, for instance, if you pull off a Russell Westbrook and Robert Covington deal, and that's hypothetical, then at eight, you know that you don't necessarily need the point guard of the future at 8 or a wingman of the future at 8 because you just traded for him. You know what I'm saying? It gives you, to me, I think it gives you time to look at your roster, divest from what's gone, and move in a direction the team building. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's only say 24, 48 hours a difference. But in my opinion, once you establish that direction, you could probably, draft better, basically is what I'm getting at.
And see, I think, I agree with you. I understand, right? You make a move and then you can kind of understand what you need. I don't think the Knicks, if they trade for Westbrook, if they trade for Mike Conley, whoever it is, or if they don't trade for those guys, I don't think they're finding their point guard of the future at 8. That's my opinion, right? I don't think they're finding that guy at 8. And I don't think they want to go into the season with a rookie or Frank or DSJ at point guard.
Not with Thibodeau.
Yeah, I don't think. Exactly. Not with Thibodeau. I don't think they want to go into the season with those guys at point guard. I think that they are looking to bring in a veteran point guard or a veteran point guard or somebody that moves the needle, or both, right, in one player. Chris Paul was kind of that guy, right, that moves the needle a little bit, brings that veteran point guard knowledge. He's gone. He's off the table. Now where do they find that guy? Who knows? Right? Who knows? If
Westbrook.
Westbrook, he's a possibility for him, but I don't think they're going to overpay. I really don't. Here's from Tommy Beard. This is from Tommy Beard just a couple of minutes ago. He says, if the Rockets trade Russell Westbrook this week, they reportedly may have to settle for a package highlighted by Julius Randle and Dennis Smith Jr.
That's perfect.
And
That is
I'll do that all. I would do that all day long. You send out $26 million in cap space, right? You send out $26 million. You bring back Russell Westbrook. You eat $14 million. So $14 million tears into your cap space. You still got $26 to $30 million to spend in free agency.
Yep.
Right? Now, if the Knicks are holding out, being easy for a trade like that, that's what you do. I would do it all day long and every day on Sunday.
Here's the thing, and this is a lot of people don't realize this. The Knicks have almost all the leverage in this Russell Westbrook talk. They have all the leverage because they are one of the few teams, if not the only team, that has enough cap space to even take on the contract at all. Right. And the draft picks and everything like that. So I think that we can be able to make this deal happen without giving up too much. And by not giving up too much, I mean not having to give up any of the future draft picks, maybe one in the second round or something like that, but nothing crazy. I mean, the Knicks can still get this veteran guy who can be a star, who can be the alpha on the team, and still build for the future. And still build. This is exactly what I've been saying since the beginning when everything was happening. We can go out and get someone like this and still take care of the future as well.
Okay. All right. Now, let me ask you, if this happens, let's say it happens, Die Hard, let's say this happens, right? Julius Randle, Dennis Smith Jr., they get traded for Russell Westbrook, okay? And probably, maybe a low round draft pick or something like that has to go along with it. Now, what are the Knicks looking at 8 if that happens?
Wings.
Man, yeah, you're looking for big, I guess, to fill up that void with Julius Randle, because I mean you're gonna have Westbrook, you're gonna need somebody to run out there with him and protect whatever, because we kind of got wings or whatever. I mean, we have money too, so I mean the sky's the limit with us, right? We would, like Josh said, we could just sit back with our feet up and just let them talk to us. Nah, we don't want that. Nah, we don't want that. We don't have to worry about none of that. We in the driver's seat.
That's what I was saying. That's why the Knicks was looking at Isaiah Stewart from Washington, because he's a power forward that will fill that space. Incredible motor, could shoot, could spread the floor, and could rebound. So I think they're going to be looking at him at 27th pick, and at 8. At 8, if I was the Knicks at 8, if I get Russell Westbrook on a deal like that, I'm trading down. I'm trading down with Boston. Give me 14, 26, and 30, and then I could go get numerous of wings and other shooters and other bigs. And do it like that. That's what I would do, because I'm not too sure another 8. If I can't get a call.
Go ahead, Josh.
The Knicks should go after best player available. Player available, straight like that, because we need talent. It's a talent problem on this team. It's not necessarily a fit problem. It's a talent problem. Last year, when we had Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett, people were saying that Julius Randle was crippling R.J. Barrett, but that was not the case. The case was the Knicks just didn't have enough shooting and enough talent on the roster to be competitive. So at 8, I'm going after the best player available. And if Obi Toppin is off the board, then we have to start looking at Okoro. We have to start looking at Tyrese Halliburton. I think Tyrese Halliburton would be a tremendous fit for the team, because I feel like he can come in and play right away. If not in the starting lineup, off the bench as a 6-man or in that rotation, but I will be looking at best player available. And we can't just look for like little pieces that can fit the team here or fit the team here when there's not that much talent on the roster to begin with.
Yeah,
so
we're not that good to be.
Okay. All right. Let me get to this phone call real quick. Caller, you live. What's popping?
Hey, send peace to the chat. My name is Robert.
What's going on, Robert?
Why
How you feeling?
are we talking about Russell Westbrook? He doesn't play championship basketball. He is a ball hog. We shouldn't be talking about no Russell Westbrook. We should not even want him to come nowhere near New York. Or matter of fact, if he go to New York, let him go back with Durant. We don't even want him. We shouldn't want him. We don't need him.
You don't?
We don't need him. For real, we don't need him.
So now listen, I haven't been the highest person on Russell Westbrook, but I am one who believes if he comes to this team, he changes the trajectory of this team right away. And you still can have enough assets, especially if you get them on it cheap, because I can't picture Russell Westbrook and Julius Randle playing together. Chris Paul and Julius Randle, I could have. Russell Westbrook and Julius Randle, no. I think if you're bringing in Russell Westbrook, you gotta include Julius Randle in that trade. I just don't see them two. I can't see it. I don't like the way it looks together, right? But I do believe that if you do include Julius Randle, Dennis Smith Jr., like we just read from Tommy Beer, and he was not saying that that's something that's definitely going to happen. He's saying reportedly that's what Houston may have to accept for Russell Westbrook and some other pieces. And if it turns out to be that way, then the Knicks still have. I mean, listen, most people don't believe in Dennis Smith Jr. Most people don't want Julius Randle. Right, so it's not like you're giving up a whole lot of cap space, because you still got $30 million in cap space. You would still have your picks. You would still have your young players, including Mitchell Robinson, including Frank Ntilikina, including R.J. Barrett, including Kevin Knox. How are you stopping a rebuild if you do that trade? You're not.
Thank you.
He's not,
are adding
not
to
stopping
it.
the rebuild. But the only thing I'm saying is that he haven't. That's why him and Harden couldn't win couldn't get to the championship. That's why he stopped Durant from getting to the championship that one year. He's a ball hawk. He don't know how to.
But listen. But check it out. But right now, where the Knicks are, we're not looking for a championship. We're looking for respectability. That's where we got to start. We got to start with respectability, right? And I think Westbrook brings instant respectability. Does he bring you to a championship? Maybe not. But he gives you respectability, and he gives you he helps make you relevant, as long as they can put some pieces around them so that they can be kind of relevant. And then it gives you, where people can say, you know what? Maybe New York is a good place. Look at James Harden. He wants to get out of Houston. Philly, Brooklyn.
Yeah,
right?
But he's the same thing like Westbrook.
No, but listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Drew Holiday, he wants, they're going to move him from New Orleans. He, has stated that he wants to go to a team that can contend. So he don't want to go to a team like the Knicks. He wants to go to a team that has the ability to put him in a position to make the playoffs. Right? It is very hard to attract players, and we can talk about building our own players all we want. Yes, you have to build your young players, but at some point, if you are going to win a championship, you need free agents. You're going to have to do it through trades as well. Name me. I challenge anyone to name me one team that has won a championship with all homegrown players. I guarantee you can't. I guarantee you that. Right,
you're gonna need better. You're gonna need the combination of young players and veterans,
right,
in order to win a championship.
You need a combination, right? So sometimes you got to take the steps, and the point in Russell Westbrook, and I agree with some of the things that you're saying, because I have the same type of mindset. Although I'm not going to be mad if they trade for him, I'm going to root for him, and I'm going to understand what they're looking to do, right? But we've got to find a way to bring some respectability to the team. How do we do it? Look at the division that we play in. Look at our division. And if James Harden goes to either Philly or Brooklyn, look at our division. You got Brooklyn, you got Toronto, you got the Celtics, you got Philly, and then there's the Knicks. Like, all of those teams right there could potentially contend for the Eastern Conference Finals this upcoming season, except for the Knicks.
And we played them 8 times apiece this year.
Okay.
We need some respectability, man. Appreciate the call, bro.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Can I just say something?
We got to expedite the process. Go ahead, Josh.
I just want to say something real quick. The notion that Russell Westbrook was the problem on Houston last year is just complete nonsense. They went with Mike D'Antoni as the coach, and they got rid of all of their bigs. The reason why they didn't beat the Lakers is because they had no bigs. PJ Tucker was playing the 5, and Russell Westbrook sometimes is in the lineup as a 5 on the floor. They had no bigs at all. That's the reason why they lost. It wasn't because of Russell Westbrook.
Josh, it's not about. People don't like Russell Westbrook because of his decision making in games. That is one of the most reasons. It's not about his effort. It's not what he do on the court. It's about when you're a high level player, you have to be. If you're not going to be efficient, you have to be at least smart on the floor. And there's times where you watch him with the ball, and he will kill his own team single-handedly. So people are just afraid of him with the younger guys. But like I said, I wouldn't trade a boatload for him. But if I can get him on the cheap, I'm taking him because I need someone that can attack the paint and do things at a consistent rate that we don't have on this team. So taking him, and again, you have to look at the Knicks. We're not a championship team. We're not going to be a championship team. So if you trying to go in looking like that, you setting yourself up to be mad for the next 3 years. Because
right, Mark. But I was responding to what he said. He mentioned Russell Westbrook on Houston last year. That's why I brought that up. He said that Russell Westbrook
don't like playing style. People don't like his playing style and decision making. You can't be mad at people feeling the way about Russell Westbrook because it is horrible to watch his decision making as a point guard, bro. It just is. It's not about his character or his integrity to the game. It's just about the decision making, and that is a big problem when you're a high elite point guard.
I tell you what another big problem in New York is.
But you can't call him a high elite point guard and then question his decision making. I mean, my man averaged a triple-double 2 times.
Let them finish. Hold on, guys. We gotta let people finish their sentence first before you say something.
So the decision making is based on what we perceive would be a positive result, right? Westbrook seeing a man wide open in the corner for 3. Y'all thinking he should kick it out to that man, but you don't know if that man is knocking down shots. Is he even, you know what I'm saying, ready to take the shot? It's like when you see it on TV, you see Russell Westbrook look at that man and not pass it to him. You like, man, he should have kicked it out to that guy in the corner for 3. You don't know if that man has been ice cold or red hot. You know, it seems like the best basketball play, right? But sometimes you got to realize what are we thinking in the flow of the game? You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a difference between kicking out in the corner to R.J. Barrett or Frank Ntilikina. You know what I'm saying? If I have the ball, I would rather kick it to Frank Ntilikina because the last season, Frank Ntilikina, shot 50% from 3 in the corner. You know what I'm saying? Do I give it to RJ in the corner? No, I give it to Frank because Frank is better at that shot. It seems as if you should give it to a better offensive player. So the decision-making piece is not one that you should just look at in a vacuum, just like what you watch on film and TV. You got to understand what's going on in the flow of the game.
Bro,
that's all I want to say about Westbrook.
Do you see shooting attempts
with the averages 8+? A guy that averages 8+ assists for his cannot be a.
Thank you.
All right.
Hold on. Oh, go ahead, Sim. Go ahead. Because decision making has to do with shot selection. He has a horrible shot selection. He will chuck up 3 shots in 3 possessions in a row. That's the type of player Russell Westbrook is. What you just said has nothing to do with him not being an elite point guard. I say he's still an elite point guard, but he has bad decision making. It's passing with him sometimes, and it's shooting. He takes bad shots. He shoots more than Kevin Durant per game. That shouldn't happen.
All right, let me get to a super chat here. Then let me get to a phone call. All right, Julian Tran, thank you for the super chat. He said, assume we trade for Russell Westbrook on a discount. How would you build the team this offseason? Which players do you target? That's a good question. Tony, I'm going to come to you, man. Which players do you target? We trade for Russell Westbrook. Who are we targeting? I'm going to assume if we trade for Russell Westbrook, I'm going to assume that Julius Randle is gone.
So how much cap space does that give us?
So you're looking at probably, I'm going to say anywhere between 26 and 30 million.
If it's 30 million and we willing to go over the cap, I'm definitely going after Jeremy Grant and the dude from the Nets. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Joe Harris.
Joe Harris. Like it's got to be shooters, basically.
Thank you.
And not just shooters. The reason I wouldn't go after Beltran is because he's just a shooter. Like I need some guys that's gonna play defense. And Joe Harris, and you know what I mean, he's a little bit of a all around guy. He's not just a shooter. So somebody who could guard Durant's and LeBron's and Kawhi's. And then, you know what I mean, somebody who's just a nice all-around team player who could shoot. So those two guys would be on the top of my list.
Okay. Who else wants to jump in there? Andy?
You muted, Andy.
Yeah, I agree with Tony and with Josh that we're gonna need shooters. You know, when Mitch is staying with Westbrook, I'm guessing we know that we're gonna have the center position probably locked in with Mitch. I don't know if Taj Gibson is gonna be, you know, like the backup center or whatever. I think though athletic guys on the, you know, high positions power forwards and centers should be running up the court with Russell Westbrook, because it's going to be a fast-paced team. We're not going to be having, you know, those slow-mo guys, you know, and backcourt and you know, half-court offense probably. So I'm guessing those guys like Kevin Knox, Mitch, and are going to flourish with Westbrook.
Okay. All right. Let me get to a caller real quick, then I'm going to come to you, Josh. Caller, you live. What's popping?
Hey, Sim. It's Oscar. It's been a while.
Oscar. Listen, Oscar's voice is deep. What happened? Oh, my goodness. His voice is getting deep and everything. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
Good. I know it's been a while, but I had to jump in with everything going on. Like, I understand that some people are bored of the losing and want to make a quick fix move. And yes, Russ would bring, like you said, respectability. But the problem is, as you said, like, yes, he will not win you a championship, but he would block any potential trajectory this team could have to a championship. He wasn't an elite player last season, bottom line. He's 32, and he relies on athleticism, which, you know he's just going to get worse over the next few years. If you want to spend a ton of money this offseason, which I don't want to do, but if you do, spending, what is he making, $45 million on, Van Vliet, Christian Wood, and Joe Harris, not only will win you more games next season, they won't block the development of the rest of our core, and they're young. Like, they're good assets for the future. Why would you take on a 32-year-old point guard who is vastly overpaid, is supposed to be an elite finisher, but was average at the rim last season, can't score in any other way, rather than just building slowly? Yes, we are the Knicks. Free agents will come as long as we're not 17 and 65 like last year. I'm not surprised that KD and Kyrie didn't come because we were awful. But as long as we're a decent team and maintain our flexibility, we can get star free agents, and this is not the way to do it.
So tell me, what are your moves?
Moves.
What are your moves this offseason? Who would you focus on? Because, ladies and gentlemen, Oscar is going to be a GM one day, I'm telling you. He's going to be a GM one day. Who would you focus on?
Well, this upcoming draft class is supposed to be elite, and I'm not ever one to advocate for tanking, but what I would do is maybe bring in one guy. I really like Christian Wood, try to get off Randall's money, and then just bring in cheap shooting so that our offense can at least function and we can see what we have in RJ, and a dependable point guard, veteran point guard, but nothing like Chris Paul, maybe like DJ Augustine. And what you do is you put your young players in positions on the team where if they succeed, then the team is good, and there's no reason to tank because your young players are good. If they're bad, then you're in the lottery. What you don't want is for Bobby Portis to win you 7 games next year. Your young players struggle, and you're also, not a top 5 team. What you do is you let your young players kind of push your team in whatever direction that you need to go. You don't fill your team with 6 average veterans on team options like we did last year.
Okay. All right. You guys heard it. Josh, you heard it. What's your retort, Josh? What's your retort? I see you shaking your head. What's your retort? I know you got one.
Okay. He said his first point that he made was that Russell Westbrook was didn't have a good season last year. That's what he was suggesting. Russell Westbrook had his second highest scoring average in his entire career last season in Houston. 27 points per game.
Did he just reference points per game? Bro, get this guy off. Who is this guy? Do you say? Are you really using points? Come on, man. No one on that team, apart from Harden, can create their own.
Look
shot.
At his
He averaged 28.
Look at his
47% from the field and took almost no threes. That's awful. That's awful.
He's been doing that for his entire career, though. He won an MVP by doing that.
He won an MVP because he averaged a triple-double. That doesn't dictate winning. If he had 2 less rebounds, his team would have been just as good. He would have been just as valuable. But he wouldn't have won MVP. It's a narrative-based award. It's not an argument.
Ooh.
So you don't think he deserved it at all? You don't think he deserved to be in that conversation at all?
Okay,
is what you're saying.
I was like 10. I'm not gonna say that I watched him that year, but I mean, based on what I've seen and like stats, which I know are not everything. I mean,
okay. So let me just put this in perspective for you. Waiting for a draft pick to hit is the equivalent of waiting on the Knicks to go after someone in free agency. It's the same thing. It's the same kind of narrative. Because not only, if you do get draft picks and you do get a chance to draft high, you have to hit on those draft picks. It's the same exact thing as waiting around for the Knicks to get a free agent every couple years or so. So all this stuff we're talking about, building up all these draft picks and waiting and tanking, that's not winning basketball. Good organizations don't lose year after year, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they become good. It's a building process. But you can't continue to tank and lose 60 games per year and expect that somehow, in a miracle fashion, that we're going to be good one particular year. That's not how you build winning basketball.
That is not what I said at all. What I said was to bring in decent
You suggested that, though. You mentioned the 2021 draft class.
Hold up, Josh. Let him finish.
I never said that we can't bring in some solid guys. Like I said Fred VanVleet. I said Joe Harris and Christian Wood. These guys are good players. They're not going to cost you $45 million. They're all young. They're going to get better, and they can all shoot. They all fit with a potential star who would want to come. That's what you have to do. That's the best way to build a contender in right now.
I have a rhetorical question. Did you feel that Bobby Portis and Julius Randle and Elfrid Payton were the same kind of guys that were just average players just to build a team?
That can shoot.
I'm asking that's me asking you a question. That's a rhetorical question.
What did you say?
That was a rhetorical question.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
no.
Can I ask Oscar a question? Oscar, how would you feel about going after Rondo and Jeremy Grant and not giving up assets and building with a combination of veterans and our youth?
Well, those guys are free agents, so I don't think you'd have to give up any assets. Rondo did not have a good regular season at all. And, I understand, like, no one here, including me, watches Lakers games every night. But apart from the playoffs, he was probably the worst player in the rotation. So maybe as a backup, but he's not someone that moves the needle for me. I really like Jeremy Grant. I feel like he brings more value to a contender than to us. So we probably couldn't give him as much money as he wants. But yeah, like players like that are what you need to build like a good landing spot for a star free agent. You need to bring in players who can shoot and defend. And players you can, that's the mold. So he would fit.
Oscar, the reason why I asked you that question was because this narrative of bringing in players like that to help to build the team, to build the foundation, that's stuff that we've been trying to do for years. And that's why I mentioned Julius Randles and the Bobby Portises and the Marcus Morrises, because we've been doing that for years and we have not been good. The Knicks have not had an all-star MVP caliber player since Carmelo Anthony, and that was the last time we went to the playoffs.
Porzingis. Sorry.
Julius Randle's not a good role. He doesn't fit with other. He's a ball handling power forward who turns the ball over as much as he passes. He doesn't fit with the star. That's not the kind of player I'm talking about. I'm talking about players whose weakness is creating their own shot, but they can do the little things and kind of make life easier for a star. That's not Julius Randle. That's not Bobby Portis. I mean, and we traded Marcus Morris after 40 games after he was successful. So I don't see your point.
Okay. Well, hey, hold on. One second. Oscar, I appreciate it. Right. I appreciate hearing from you after a while. I understand your school and all that stuff, man. We look forward to hearing you again. Next time he comes on, his voice is gonna be as deep as mine.
We'll see.
But
we'll see.
I appreciate you, man. Stay safe out there. All right. Looking forward to hearing from you. We got a busy week, so we're looking forward to hearing from you, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
The narrative is the same. It's the same narrative.
Huh?
The narrative is the same. Every single year we do the same thing. We go out and get these players who are middle, average kind of players and expect that we're going to do well, but we don't. The Knicks have not had an MVP caliber player since Carmelo Anthony left, and that was the last time when we were successful.
Okay, so let me. If Russell Westbrook comes to the Knicks, if he comes to the Knicks, is he still going to be an MVP caliber player?
Yes, I think so.
So,
his numbers were really good last year. He had some really good numbers last year. His numbers were really good.
What was he? He 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and what, 27 points. I mean, obviously, he's putting up numbers. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. But with Chris Paul off the table, there's definitely going to be a stronger pursuit, I think, of Westbrook. That doesn't help the Knicks with Chris Paul being off the table. It doesn't help the Knicks because then Houston's going to say, well, what other choices do you have? What the Knicks have to say is, well, here's the other choices that we have. And this is what we are willing to do, to put that pressure on Houston. If this trade goes down, it probably doesn't go down. I would think it probably doesn't go down within the next day or two. It's going to be some time because of everything that's going on with James Harden, the draft, all of that. It might take some time. So it'll be before the season starts.
Can I ask you a question, Sam?
Yeah.
I would bring Al Horford if I was to get Russell Westbrook to put him at the 4. I would bring him in because I want a 4-man that can shoot, pass, and dribble. So when we get bogged down in half-court sets, we can rely on a player like that because with Russell Westbrook, he's more of a down-the-hill type of a player. His game is most downhill most of the time. And then when things bog down, we can go to a half-court set that also teaches the players like Knox and RJ to cut and do other stuff like that. That's why I would go, if we get Russell Westbrook, I would go for Horford and those 2 first-round picks that Philly looking to get rid of. And then I could add more pieces to my puzzle.
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. According to Ian Begley, there are certainly people in the organization who feel that Westbrook can help the Knicks in the same way that Paul could, building a winning culture, helping the young Knicks. So we will see. We will see in due time. Let me get to another phone call here. Caller, you live. What's popping?
Yeah, good day.
What's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
I'm good.
I'm good. What you thinking about? What's going on with you? What's up? I know you thinking about something.
Yeah, man. I'm Jamaican, new to the country, but a big fan of the sport. But what I wanted to say though was I can't believe Knicks fans are clamoring for somebody who cannot shoot. Because one of the biggest problems the Knicks had last year was their shooting was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
that's true.
What the last caller suggested was kind of more realistic or something that made more sense. Westbrook, for me, they would win you a few games, but I can't imagine a backcourt with Westbrook along with your new developing draft pick that you got last year, and then you're going to have Robinson in the center. So where's the shooting going to come from?
Well, I mean, you'd have to go out. You'd have, depending on what the trade would be, if you did trade for Russell Westbrook, and if you included Julius Randle in that trade, Julius Randle can't shoot, right?
Exactly.
So listen, if you include Julius Randle in that trade, you're replacing one player that It's already on your team. You're replacing him with another player that can't shoot, but you're replacing him with a better player, and then you add shooting around it. Just like if Julius Randle were to stay, you're gonna have to add shooting anyway, right?
I understand.
So you're still gonna add shooting.
Understood that, but in the backcourt, if you have a backcourt pairing, ideally you need to have a excellent shooter there. One of the two. It doesn't have to be both. So that's where I'm kind of having an issue.
Okay.
And I think there are a lot of better options too, because that salary is ridiculous. Like you can get Van Vliet for half of that. So I think for me that's a way better option. Something that can last for the next 5-6 years, sustainable. Van Vliet said he's all about the money at the moment. So if you offer him a 25 per year, it seems as if you'd have him.
Is he worth 25? Is he worth 25 per year?
Well,
Fred
if
Van
Westbrook
Vliet?
is worth 45, if Westbrook is worth 45, Van Vliet definitely is worth 25. Look at the past 2 seasons. Compare both seasons. The 2 seasons of Westbrook. Is Westbrook twice as good as Van Vliet? I don't think so. As it relates to the full facet of his game.
Is he twice as good as Van Vliet? Let's put it like this. Let's put it like this, right? You know, a lot of people are going to talk about Russell Westbrook and, you know, if OKC has won a championship and this and that. Okay, he was on, you know, he had Kevin Durant. They lost to the Golden State Warriors in, what was that, the Western Conference Finals, and then Kevin Durant decided to leave. All right, and then he went to the Golden State Warriors, you know, and won multiple championships with the Golden State Warriors. Before then, they had made it to the NBA Finals when they were very young, when it was Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. Okay, and Russell Westbrook was clearly one of the leaders of that team. All right.
Yeah, and may I point out something? I think they never won that title because he was a poor point guard. That's my opinion, personally. I think if he was a point guard, then they would have had a better shot. I think his decision making is way too poor for a point guard. That's what I'm feeling, to be honest.
So
as I said, that's my opinion.
Okay, I appreciate your call. I mean, you know, I understand, you know, where people, you know, I understand the stuff about Russell Westbrook because I'm you know, I've been on the same boat. But I mean, I also understand that Russell Westbrook will bring something to your team that you just do not have or have not had. Is he going to be the perfect player? No. But are the Knicks in the position to wait for the perfect player? Right?
Thank you.
You know, I mean, you know, ask yourself that. Are they in position to wait for the perfect player, especially if you can get them at a discount? I'm not saying you go out and you just give up the farm for Russell Westbrook. But certainly, I understand if you're trading Julius Randle and Dennis Smith Jr., 2 guys on your team right now that cannot shoot the basketball, and you bring in a Russell Westbrook, and then you can add more shooting, it's going to help your team, and you are still going to have a full slate of assets. Right? So everything, I think everything depends on the package. Everything depends on the package. Now, does he have a hefty contract? Yes, he has a very hefty contract. And he makes a lot of money. And he makes a lot of money. And there'll be a point where his contract is making up 30 to 35% of your salary. 40%, okay, 40% of your salary cap. It's a lot. That's a lot.
He just bringing another dimension to our team, man.
You know.
You do it. You do it. If it's for that, if it's for those players, I'm doing it 100%. I'm not even thinking. Bring them here to me.
The only thing I ask you is going forward, you do it for those 2 players, Julius Randle, Dennis Smith Jr., whatever other, you know, assets have to go along with it. You know, low assets like second round picks or future draft picks or something like that. But then, do you have enough money? Maybe this year you have some money. Do you have enough money in subsequent years to build a proper team that's going to be competitive? And then when he's ready to be gone, and when he slows down, I'm not ready to say he's slowed down yet. And I will say this: at the end of last season, after the All-Star break, he shot about 40% from three, something like that. He did. Mm-hmm. It's in the books. You can go check the stats. I'm not saying that he's going to continuously do that, but he did do that last year.
The thing I love about him, we're going to run a fast break. Do you realize the Knicks haven't been a fast break team in the last few years? We've been bottom pit. We need to run. We have young guys that want to run. He does what we want him to do for 2 to 3 years. He's still a high impactful player, as much as y'all don't agree with it. But he still is. Get over it. If I'm giving up Julius Randle and Dennis Smith Jr. for an impactful player without giving up my young guns, I'm doing it.
Yeah. I mean,
he plays defense. Plays defense.
Listen.
No, he don't play defense. He don't play defense. Stop. But he's good.
Listen.
He doesn't, Mark?
I mean, listen. I'm in full agreement there. If I'm giving up Julius Randle and Dennis Smith Jr., I'm on that all day, every day, twice on Sunday. You know what I mean? 4 times on Monday, whatever you want to call it. I'm doing it all day long.
And that's a double team every trip. Sim. Again, we need a guy that could serve a double team so guys like RJ could better their shot and get open shots. What more do y'all want? Y'all want Fred VanVleet at $25 million. For that person to say that, bro, this is what, man, that's why I'm afraid of signing VanVleet.
And then they add guys like Joe Harris too. It's like, well, we have to expedite this process, man. Getting Westbrook, of course, we're gonna have to get shooting. We're gonna have to get a whole bunch of different things. It's not. That's the thing. It's not the end all with this one thing. I wanted to comment on what that young kid was saying. He was like, "Yo, we need to set the table for somebody that we're gonna sign down the line." Who are we signing? You got the same rhetoric. You gotta have a clean picture of what the hell you want to do when you talk about roster building. If you don't want Russell Westbrook, then who do you want? Like the other caller, he's talking about Fred VanVleet and all these other guys. Are we getting better? This is just a bunch of garbage. But we have to make a decision cross the line in the sand. If Westbrook is like you said, if it's Julius Randle and Dennis Smith Jr., then we have to make that move. It's not a game anymore. We can't be playing this game year in and year out. It's just a bunch of garbage.
Thank you, Hero. Thank you.
If we get that deal, we bullied Houston and took their lunch money. What are you talking about?
Yeah, man.
Let me get. Hold on. Yeah, let me get to a call. Let me get to a call. First, let me do the super chat. Siobhan Robinson, thank you for the super chat. He said, "Think about it like this: we spent 40% of the cap on Portis, Ellington, Payton, Randall. So what are we crying for? Get over it." Calling you live. What's poppin'?
What's going on, brother? It's Big Wayne from the Bronx, man.
What's going on, Wayne? How you feeling, man?
Nothing much, brother. I enjoy the show, man. This is great, man. Got me amped up and everything. Love to see my Knicks fans be out there like that.
No doubt.
Listen, man, Westbrook, we need somebody with heart for New York. He's built for New York. Those young boys need to see that. They have no OGs on that team, and that's the problem. Even Taj Gibson was a good OG for them to learn from. They have no OGs. We need that for these young boys. Just even if they win 30 games, they need that. Just a little taste. You know what I'm saying? R.J. Barrett right now, he is not a first option like that. You know what I mean? It takes time for him to work into that motion, you know? But for him to learn, he has to learn from somebody like Westbrook. And I'm going to say one more thing real quick, and I know y'all might go crazy for this. At the 4, I would re-sign Morris at the 4. Morris could shoot. And Morris is a dog. You know how tough this team would be to bring back Morris? You got Westbrook, then you have RJ and Mitch. Come on, man. And I would keep Bullock. I would keep Bullock as the 2 and have him shoot because we could keep him for cheap.
I would sign Morris if you get Russell Westbrook and then you can add Marcus Morris if he's willing to come back. I love to add Marcus Morris because you can probably get him. You can probably get him for close to the same price that you got him last year.
Right.
I got one. I'll do one better. How about Carmelo Anthony?
That too.
He's on the cheap.
I mean, listen. You can get Melo for even cheaper. You can get Melo for probably
come home price.
$6, $7, $8 million a year.
Yeah.
Listen, if they do trade for Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony definitely is not off the table.
No, it's not.
Right.
He is not off the table. You can guarantee that the Knicks will be talking about Carmelo. if that happens. You can almost guarantee that.
They need those OGs, though. Remember that. They need the OGs to show them the way, man, and we don't have any right now, and that's a big problem.
I feel you, bro.
Good call.
I feel you, man.
Sure, Tibbs wants that too. Tibbs wants some
I appreciate your call, brother.
All right, take it easy.
Peace. And definitely, Tibbs wants that too. That's what I you know it. Tibbs wants to have a veteran squad. He wants a veteran team. That's how he plays basketball.
Joint, man. We got to mix up the pot, and because the young guys are so limited, the older guys can be like, yo, this all you got to do on this play, on that play, on that play. It just teaches some consistency, man. This team needs consistency.
Yo, Tibbs is not 40. He's like 60-something years old. He don't got time to be waiting 5 years to learn to shoot, you know? It's like crazy.
Let me tell you something, diehard. Tibbs is the type of dude to say, Melo, this is your role. That's all Melo wanted, was someone to say, yo, listen, come in and do this, and that's all. Carmelo even talked about it. When I went to Portland, they told me what it was. But when I went to Houston, they just had me out there. Just had me out there. Players like that, you gotta come to them, make them understand. That's what being a coach is about. That's what being a leader of men is about. So I think if Carmelo comes, he's gonna play a role. He know who he is. He said it himself. He know who he is.
Andy?
But he's gonna touches.
Yeah, and let's remember last time Carmelo was here and we were in the playoffs. Woody was the head coach. Now he's an assistant, so he pretty much knows how to use him to be a great player.
Yo, Andy, I forgot we got Woody, man. Even better, man. Even better. This team and assistant staff is what we need, and I'm glad. I'm just glad. I'm the happiest camper on the world right now.
Even that guy Johnny Bryant, man. We have a whole training staff filled with great coaches and stuff like that. So it's like it's not time to be playing no games no more. That's my main thing right now with this.
Yeah, and let me tell you, with the Knicks coaching staff, they have the ability with this staff to take chances. Because you have some coaches with leadership experience, right? So I think they can take chances on players that they can take chances. What's the dude down in Memphis? I mean, I don't know if he's up for, trade or anything like that, but I'm just giving an example. Josh Jackson. You can take chances on players like that. And if you get someone who is an exceptional leader, a player who is a leader that the younger players are going to look up to, you can take more chances on players that maybe had some issues in the past, things like that you worry about, disciplinary stuff. Let me ask you this. And then after we answer this question, we're going to switch over to Sportscaster. If the Knicks do trade for Russell Westbrook, do they look to Demarcus Cousins as a player that could come in? He can shoot the three a little bit. He can play the 4/5. Obviously, he's coming off of knee injuries. He's talented, though.
I would say that the Wizards have his eye on him too. So that Wizards, I heard teams have eyes on him. But yeah. I would take a chance on him because we play with house money. We just playing with house money. I told you this development is like a 2-year. We have a 2-year window of being consistent and getting better. Coming into this year, it's about consistency, about identity, about where we gonna go. The next year is about getting more better. So we're playing with house money. You dibble and you try plays. If they don't work out, you get rid of them. That's it. It's not like we're going anywhere.
Andy, let me ask you. You trade for Russell Westbrook. Julius Randle goes in that trade. Do you look to bring in DeMarcus Cousins?
Me personally, no. I think Cousins is too much of a head case, too many problems in the locker room with the young guys. I don't think he's on that vet level to be helping us, even if he's injured or not on the court, not playing that many minutes as he wants. I think he might cause more, problems than more cons than pros with him. At least from what I feel at this point.
Yeah. Well,
so you don't think that we have enough leadership with the coaching staff, if you have a Russell Westbrook and then you have the Mike Woodson and you have Tom Thibodeau and you have those guys, you don't think there's enough leadership around to bring DeMarcus Cousins?
I think it's not going to be only about the leadership. I think he's going to be, spending too much time with only the players without the coaches, and they might get some bad habits. And from what I know, I don't think DeMarcus Cousins is one of those, angel guys in the league. So, I know it's a small price for a really talented guy and like a project, like a redemption project, right? Because he was injured, he didn't play like last 2 seasons and stuff like that. So it's like a low risk, high reward thing, right? Still, that thing in the locker room, if you get Westbrook, you know what you get from him. You get the heart, and the guys are going to follow.
Right.
I don't know if you want that, that rocky guy in the locker room just to maybe he's going to pan out, but maybe,
Okay.
But Andy, I'm going to say this.
Hold up, Mark. And listen, people in the chat, just because you bring up a question doesn't mean that we're saying you have to go through this. It is a question. It is a question for conversation, and it might be a question that the Knicks management team brings up. If you are running an organization, if you are running a basketball team, you look at all the players, 300 and whatever players in the NBA, and you say, what about this guy? What about this guy? What about this guy? So why do you bring up DeMarcus Cousins? Let me tell you why you bring up DeMarcus Cousins and you have a discussion about DeMarcus Cousins. Because he is a guy who is an all-star, or was, let me not say is, who was an all-star caliber power forward / center in the NBA. He is a guy who is going to be maybe he makes the veterans minimum.
Nothing. He's not making
right?
no money, bro.
Because he's coming off of a torn ACL. So, when you're a team like the Knicks, you've got to take chances on players like that sometimes. Because you have a lack of talent. So sometimes you say, you know what? Let's take a chance on this guy. If he doesn't work out, we've only paid him $3 million. We can waive him. We can get him out of here. Get out the locker room. Go to wherever you're going to go to. That's why you ask these questions. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, folks.
So
it means you ask the questions because the team, if you're Leon Rose, you got to try to find a way to flip over rocks to bring in talent.
Yes, you do.
That's what you do.
People talk about Joe Harris, and these guys got other options, bro. They have other options.
We're not in a position to be picky and choosy on who we decide to call on. We're like one of the worst teams in the NBA. We don't have time for that.
But with the DeMarcus Cousins thing, people only judge him from Sacramento. When he went to New Orleans and Golden State, he was fine. And right now, he's more of a broken player, more than to be valuing himself as the high player before he left Sacramento. I don't think it's going to be a locker room issue, especially if you have Woody Tibbs, guys that know what to do to put him in position to be good. Players respect that. And then you bring in Russell Westbrook.
That's what I want to say about DeMarcus too. Like, he's going to come in here with Thibodeau and all these different guys. They're going to tell him, listen, this is what we need from you. Blah 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 blah. Can you deal with it? And if they come to their agreement, they'll give him a contract. And if that doesn't work out, then they get rid of him. But I mean, it's a win-lose thing for us because I mean, if he plays well, then look, we have a really good player to add to the mix, and that's what we need. We're a bottom team. We have to get talent to it doesn't matter how we get it. You know what I'm saying? People think that it's the entitlement of Knicks fans. They just think that like things are supposed to be handed to us. Man, we have been the worst team in the NBA for the last 20 years. We don't have no time. That's my key word for this since I've been here. We don't have time for that anymore, man. Thibodeau is 60-something years old, man. Like, how long do you think this is going to go on for?
And not even that, diehard. Not even that. It's when Woody came here to coach Carmelo, Carmelo even said himself, he said, scratch all that. If you do what I say, y'all all going to get paid. Y'all all going to look better. And what happened that year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's exactly what our coaching staff is going to do. So listen, if you guys want to win, this is what we want you to do. Can you do it? You can't do it next. We're just going to keep this moving, man. I think we have the right staff.
We got the leaders, man. We got the leaders. That's why I'm not. When people are down on, like the way people talk about LaMelo and stuff like that, if I bring LaMelo in under those two guys, he would nip all that stuff that he's bad at doing. Nip it in the butt. Nip it in the butt. We got to nip it in the butt.
Go ahead, Andy. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah.
Mark, remember, one person at a time. Mark, one person at a time. We know you got a thought. You can save that thought until they finish, and then you can let your thought out.
That thought is bulging out his eye.
Yeah, just to add on that, if we had more vets, the kind of we had like with Rashid, Kurt Thomas, and those guys, I would take him in a heartbeat. Now, when we're only gonna, let's say we're gonna only stick with Taj Gibson from the vets, because I'm not considering Reggie Bullock a vet. If I'm going to have Boogie Cousins in the locker room and something is going to happen, Reggie's not going to be the guy, listen, DeMarcus, you got to stop this crap and stuff like that. It's only going to be Taj. And sometimes one guy versus one, it's not going to be enough for the rest of the players to see the rift. If that would be a guy like Sheed or like, I don't know, Jason Kidd or Kurt Thomas, those guys would keep him in check, like before he even thinks about it.
But so would Woody, so would Kenny Payne.
Yeah, but Tony, I understand. When the coaches are going to be around, I'm not afraid. I'm afraid just when the guys go out for a dinner or whatever, right? That probably might not happen this season, right? But the coaches aren't always under the showers, and stuff like that. Some things, might pan out that I'm actually afraid of that can happen with Boogie, unless it's like Mark said, that he's a crushed player, a broken player, and he's on that redemption road, and he's like, one of those saint, with no stupid ideas in his head. So
we see what's going to happen, man. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys' time. I want to give a shout out to Joe Madden. Thank you for becoming a member. M.I. Vidal, thank you for becoming a member. And for members only. And I don't know the exact time frame, but we are organizing a virtual game night where we just get into Zoom and we play some games. But it's only for members. So if you're not a member, you can't do it. But if you are a member, then you can join in. You know what I mean? And members, you guys will get the notification when it's time for us to do that virtual game night. Check the comment sections on my page. All you got to do is check the comment section. You check that comment section, and you'll get the you'll get the information when we're doing a virtual game night. We are heading over to Sportscaster, ladies and gentlemen. All right,
come through.
We're going over to Sportscaster, so we're gonna continue this conversation, but we're gonna move into talking about the draft and where we think the Knicks might want to go with the draft. Obviously, things are going to be based on if anything happens between now and Wednesday. We will be doing a mock draft tomorrow. Our final mock big board for the New York Knicks. We're going to do a mock big board. We did 2 previously. We're going to do our final one, the third one. And then Wednesday, we're going to be live for the draft. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, please make sure you subscribe. We'll be doing a live show for the draft. We'll be talking about each player as they're coming up. We'll be following the draft on whatever channel it's on. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Subscribe right now so that you can be notified when we do all of these things. If you're on Sportscaster, please make sure you follow so that you can get the email or be notified whenever we have a live show. And make sure you follow the entire MBK family. We got Andy here. Mark is, Mark, you look like you're losing it right now. You're shaking back and forth. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm glad you're on screen with us so we can stop you. I don't know what you're getting ready to do. Relax. It's all good. It's all good. You're stressing out, bro. You're stressing out. You rocking back and forth. When I see somebody rock back and forth like that, I get a little bit worried, man. Stay easy, brother. Stay easy. Stay easy. But we got Mark that's finally started to do his thing on Sportscaster. Got Legion of Knicks podcast, Die Hard Knicks. As a matter of fact, me and Die Hard, we're doing a little podcast tonight. Make sure you check that out. It's going to be on Sportscaster. So jump over to Sportscaster now and follow us. I'm putting the link in. The link is already pinned to the YouTube chat. It's also in the description of this video. And I am plastering it in the chat right now. So join us over on YouTube. Join us over on Sportscaster, ladies and gentlemen. All right, as we continue this talk about the draft and what we think the Knicks need to do in the draft. Now that we finally gotten down to it, and we've heard rumors and discussions about this, that, and the other thing, where we finally get into in the draft, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I appreciate your time, YouTube. Join us over on Sportscaster. Again, the link is in the description. The link is in the chat. It's pinned in the chat. We out of here. We out of here, YouTube.
Come
Peace.